Hey guys, how you doing? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. As you can see, I went ahead and got a whiteboard. I just feel like it's a lot easier for me to jot my thoughts down as I'm going through it, and hopefully you guys can understand things a little better. But as you can see, my wife drew us a little something here. I didn't even ask her to do this, she just kind of did it. Like, subscribe, and that's me, obviously. So don't worry, we're going to be using this whiteboard today. It is double-sided. I don't know why. I didn't even know it was double-sided until it came in. So I just have not one big whiteboard, but two big ass whiteboards. I don't ask, man. I really don't know. If you are a fan of the dark and mysterious and some of the deepest and darkest rabbit holes that you can find on the internet, this is the channel for you. That is one of my hobbies. It's what I do in my free time. I love to explore internet rabbit holes, internet mysteries, and just explore the darkest parts of the internet. And I figured I'd share my experiences and my findings with you guys like today. Today, we are going to be talking about three of some of the most disturbing and darkest Reddit users that I have come across during my 10 years on Reddit. Maybe more, I don't know, maybe less. I'm guesstimating here, but I've been on Reddit for a very long time. But let me start this off by saying that we're not going to go over subreddits. We're not going to go over the most disturbing and darkest subreddits. There's a shit ton of those, okay? There are shock content, gore content all over Reddit. It's not a secret, it's there. Also in this video, we are not going to be taking a look at some of the different Reddit users that are, what's the word? Running different subreddits that are also disturbing, like that have different profiles that have been banned from Reddit because of the things that they posted. We're not talking about that either. What we're talking about today are a couple different Reddit users that you can see them slowly going insane. You can see them losing their mind, their grip on reality, and ultimately, without any further evidence, we can assume that they are no longer amongst the living. So I guess another way to frame it is we're not going to go for the most disturbing Reddit users. We're going to go with the most disturbed Reddit users. There is a big difference, and we're going to start it off right now. I got to turn it around. This is backwards. My wife drew this on the back, and if I flip it, it's a whole thing. Give me a second. So the first Redditor we're going to be talking about today is an example of how fast something can take over somebody's life. This user goes by the name of u/AFH43. That is some dog shit handwriting. Let me rewrite that. AFH43 fell victim to one of the most obscure theories in the realm of immortality. He fell victim to what is known as the theory of quantum immortality. And you can see just how much this took over his life, because if you read his Reddit comments, like the things that he's posted in different subreddits, he posted about MIDI controllers, he talked about FL Studio, audio engineering, he talked about PlayStation 4, he even talked about tennis. Like the last post that he posted before he went down the rabbit hole of quantum immortality is asking about Federer's qualifiers with commentary, asking where he could watch it. And then it was, from that point on, it was nothing but the theory of quantum immortality. And it was nothing but him saying he can't do this anymore. This has taken over my life. This has taken me to a darkest place I've ever been to. This quantum immortality theory single-handedly ruined AFH 43. Now, I understand a lot of you have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to quantum immortality, and that's why we have a whiteboard. I'm going to try and explain this to you in the most simplest of terms, because the theory itself is quite simple. It's just that the people who come up with this try to use big words to make it sound more believable. Where's my red? I had a red marker, and it's just gone. It's just gone. I don't know where it is. Anyway, fuck it. We're just gonna use red. We're just gonna use black. So the theory of quantum immortality is just this. So let's say this is you, okay? That's you. Well, that's not actually you. That's a stick figure. I know that I'm just so fantastic at art, you got confused there, but anyway, let's say that you die. Okay, you're dead. Let's say that this is your conscience. Your conscience, when you die, gets transferred to another dimension where you are also there living simultaneously. Okay, your conscience gets transferred through that other dimension and into this alternate you, and you just simply wake up. That is the theory of quantum immortality. Now, personally, I think this theory is on the level of the entire universe was created last week Thursday, and all of the memories that we have were just constructed from the universe. I think that quantum immortality is on that level of just what the fuck. But again, it took over AFH 43's life, and he actually dug really deep into this, so maybe he knows some things that I don't, but I'm afraid to dig in anymore. So I don't know if you need this, but I'm going to show you some flaws about this theory that I see right off the bat. So let's say that you, right? Let's say that you are 115 billion years old. You're old as fuck. And you just die. Okay? You follow me so far? What if, does your conscience also get transferred to that other dimension and into another 115 billion year old body? Because technically you have lived just as long as the other one. So does your conscience also get transferred into 115 billion year old body? What happens to this guy's conscience? Is there two consciences living in the same person? Do you see the amount of weirdness this theory is? But this is also the theory that took over someone's life. So I'm not trying to make fun of it. I'm trying to show you that this theory literally makes zero fucking sense, and it should not be taken seriously whatsoever. Now, with that being said, now we're going to talk about how it completely took over AFH 43's life, because it is actually very sad. Oh, just a little pro tip. I don't know if you guys knew this, and I know a lot of you are watching this and you're still going to school. If you have a whiteboard and it's hard as fuck to come off, use some hand sanitizer, spray it on here, and use a paper towel and wipe it off. It'll come off and it'll look brand spanking new. That's what I'm going to do after every single video. I'm going to clean it with hand sanitizer. It's the alcohol that gets it off. If you have isopropyl alcohol, that'll work even better. Ethyl alcohol, if you want to melt your shit, go ahead. But hand sanitizer will work just fine. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So his last post was on r/tennis, and he asked about Federer's qualifying match and if he could watch it with commentary. And directly after that, about a week or two after that, he posted again in a Reddit called r/askphysics. And his question, I'm going to read directly because you can just feel the desperation and emotion coming off of this subreddit post. So let me read it here. The theory of quantum immortality has driven me to the state of pure anxiety and terror over the last week. Is it true? Has it ever been debunked? I can't do this anymore. I'm assuming he asked all of these like one after the other, so I'm going to keep reading them. This was asked in Ask Philosophy. The theory of quantum immortality has driven me into a really dark place. I'm living in a state of pure terror. Is there any reason not to believe it's true? Can it be debunked? Now, out of the 10 to 15 different Reddit things that he's talked about, or the different Reddit posts that he's made about quantum immortality, that one right there that I just said has the most replies, with 30 replies, and it was just a bunch of discussions. So I'm going to read some of the discussions here, and people trying to say that it doesn't actually exist, it is just a theory. But I'm going to read you his responses back, and you can tell that there is no way anyone is changing his mind that this is true. So how I'm going to do this is there are a bunch of like replies to it, and obviously some of them are extremely long. I'm just going to read the ones that he replied to and then read his replies. So let's start off here. Hey guys, just a quick little note here that I found pretty interesting. A lot of AFH43's Reddit posts just don't show up on the Reddit desktop app. I'm not sure why. So I'm reading it directly to you in the video from my phone. But when I'm going back into Reddit to provide the screenshots from the comments that I'm reading on the desktop app, it's just not there. So I just found that pretty interesting. So a lot of the screenshots that you're going to see are going to be different, because some of them I'm taking from the Reddit desktop, and a lot of them I'm have to screenshot from my phone because it just simply does not exist on the Reddit desktop app. Okay, just a little note. Quantum immortality is simply not real. It's a thought experiment, not an actual theory. I'm curious what has you all goosey bumped about it and why that has you all goosey bumped. He replies, why is it simply not real? Would you mind pointing out its flaws so I can understand? He replied, mostly because there is little to no evidence to suggest that it is real. I guess here's a way to go about it. How do you understand the concept? And what about that scares you? That will help me see what's going on here. As you can see, there are people here trying to genuinely help this man. And he goes on and replies to him, do you understand the theory? The universe has infinite and full of infinite possibilities, meaning that I will never lose consciousness. Why do you need evidence to understand that? Why doesn't it scare you or anyone? As you can see from just that reply alone, there is no changing his mind. He has completely made up the fact, or not made up the fact, made up his mind about the fact that quantum immortality is real. That's it. The same guy also replies, okay, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. If I had said something that was way off base of what you thought, then what would have been the point? So let's think about it with another thought experiment. We'll call this quantum suicide machine. Since every time you die in one universe, and there are an infinite amount of universes, and your consciousness travels to the next one to continue living, and you never die, some scientists came up with a machine. What it does is every time someone dies, it goes off. We all die, and it promptly transported to the next universe. No one ever dies. Clearly, this isn't the case, right? Also consider, there are less people alive in the world right now than there have ever been in the world. That's true. People are trying to tell you that the world's overpopulated. That is fucking not true. Anyway, let's get on. There are more people alive concurrently than ever, but not alive currently compared to the totality. Where are all those extra consciousness that can't be stored? Would you contend that in some universe there is a Jesus still sitting on a cross because he just couldn't die? Or a Socrates still asking questions, even though he's a few thousand years old? As you can see, like this guy that's trying to help him is thinking logically. He is pulling logic into this and bringing him into the bigger picture. Like, hey, if what you're saying is true, if when we die, we get transported to another universe or another dimension where we continue living, then Jesus would never have been died. He's still on the cross 2024 years later. On top of that, what about Socrates? What about Caesar? What about the cavemen? What about like dinosaurs? Does it also apply to animals? He's trying to say, my cat is laying right there and it is the cutest thing I have ever fucking seen. I'm sorry, but I just needed to say that. OP then responds. OP means original poster. In this case, OP is AFH43. OP responds with, would you contend that in some universe, there was a Jesus still sitting on the cross because he just couldn't die? Or a Socrates still asking questions even though he's a few thousand years old? He's quoting what the guy said. And he said, yes, I would contend that. Infinity makes it possible. The person trying to help him then responds, infinity is not a force. It doesn't make things possible. It just means that there are infinite scenarios and that the probability of something happening more than likely goes to 1. So Jesus, Socrates, whatever, you think that somehow there is a biological way that a human is alive for 4,000, 2,000, or just 200 years old. We haven't made all those advances in modern medicine. You think that in some crazy alternative, holy crap. But you think that in some crazy run universe, there is an Earth so overcrowded with those people. Would that not be the same of sort of culture shock to you when you died and suddenly had your consciousness transported there? Since your stream of consciousness is supposed to be uninterrupted in this scenario, when you resume yourself, this is going so deep into the theory that I'm going to stop reading it right here. So basically the argument that the guy trying to help AFH43 is like, there have been people on this planet for, I'm just going to throw a number out there, 10,000 years. So you think that the first person of all time ever is still alive to this day somewhere out there? And OP, AFH, is like, yeah, that's what infinity means. And the guy trying to help him is basically like, you don't understand human biology. Humans cannot live that long. So that automatically crushes this theory. And it does. But OP is just not listening to him. Again, in r/askphilosophy, he says, scared of quantum immortality. Please help me. Why don't you believe in it? Now, if you remember that entire couple minute thing that I just went off on and reading this thread, people have told him over and over and over again why they don't believe in it. Because logically speaking, it should not exist. Because sometimes people get old and they die of old age. They can't continue living because their body biologically cannot continue forward. This whole thing is driving me to the point of frustration because OP is simply not listening. That is the whole thing. But we're going to continue even further down the line, and I just exited out of his profile. That's awesome. He continues asking about quantum immortality on r/ask science discussion, r/ask science, r/ask philosophy, and then finally he went into existential crisis. It won't stop. I need help. I can't do it anymore. Posted in r/advice. I fear that because I am something in this infinite universe, I will always be alive. Quantum immortality. It makes so much sense to me and it is ruining my life. What do I do about it? I need to rest. Now, I don't want to read too far into this, but it sounds like he's on some sort of drugs. And I'm not saying like hard shit like heroin, meth. He could be on like pills. He could be on like something that his doctor prescribed him, which made him hyperfixate and think about things like this. Drugs like Adderall will help you do that. Maybe AFH has read about this theory and it has made so much sense to him because he is so hyperfixated on it that he is not letting anybody else tell him that it's false. That is my theory on this, and we're going to continue reading what he posted because it gets sad. He asked another question in r/ask philosophy. Does the existence of multiverses mean that we will never die? Because in the universe that we have a chance of not dying, and in the parallel universe we continue to live because we can't experience death. Basically quantum immortality. It is depressing me immensely. What I find interesting about this one is that there are 13 replies and you can't see any of them. I don't know. And then we get to his final post, which was posted 6 years ago in r/ask science. Quantum immortality. I'm killing myself soon. It's too much and I can't do it anymore. Like I said, that was his last post as of 6 years ago. Now, it is entirely possible that AFH43 is a troll, but to have this thing going for a couple months, I want to say, maybe even a year, to have quantum immortality and to show this level of obsession for a troll is improbable to me, almost as improbable as the theory of quantum immortality, but we're not going to go into that one. Like I said, he's been inactive ever since he said he was going to kill himself. So even though I don't agree with what AFH43 was asking, and even though I think that he is extremely stubborn, rest in peace if he did pass away to AFH43. And like I said, I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to disprove what he said because I can see how it could consume someone's life. So with that being said, that is the story of AFH43. So now we're going to move on to our next Redditor. So I have tried to introduce this person 3 different times, but I don't know how to go about explaining what this person is because it's impossible to in my own words. So I'm just going to go ahead and try it and not cut anything out. So the next person we're going to talk about also has an obsession similar to AFH43. However, it's nothing like that. This user goes by the name of LadyIris. LadyIris has asked dozens, if not hundreds of times on 2 different subreddits, r/askreddit and r/morbidly curious or morbid questions, about death. Now, I understand that a lot of us are morbidly curious. In my personal opinion, I believe that every human being is morbidly curious because we're just so curious about the unknown, and the most unknown thing in life is what happens after we die. It's okay to be morbidly curious. LadyIris takes it to another fucking level. LadyIris does not only ask about what happens after we die. She asks questions like, do you think suicide and aided suicide should be legal? Do you think that school shooters are evil? What do you think happens to people's insides when they drink Drano? Stuff like that. Stuff that only, for lack of a better word, only serial killers would ask this question, which a lot of Redditors think LadyIris is more than likely was planning or did actually commit murder or is a serial killer. That's how insane this bitch is. So let me read some of these posts that she put up. What sick thing brings you pleasure? Why is it the more evil and cruel an action is, the more exciting it becomes to carry out? What is more evil than physically and psychologically torturing multiple innocent people to death for pleasure? What location would you choose if you're going to commit a mass shooting? What methods would you use to torture someone you hate to death? What would anyone feel emotionally scarred, or why would anyone feel emotionally scarred by killing someone they wanted to kill? I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It's just those kinds of questions over and over and over and over again on r/morbid questions and r/ask Reddit. And it's all LadyIris, every single one. Now, I'm just going to choose a couple of them. I'm going to read them to you and then read the replies. Please keep in mind that not everything on r/ask Reddit or r/morbid questions has a bunch of replies. Some of them don't have any replies at all, but I'm going to pick some of the ones that have over, let's say, 25 different replies, just so you can see how other people are responding to LadyIris. In r/morbid questions, she asks, if you could kill any one person in existence with absolutely no repercussions, who would it be and how would you kill them? Would you make it slow and painful or a quick death? Someone says, somebody who is now deleted said, I can't narrow it down to only one person. There are so many people that I hate. And she replies with, start with your favorite. I think this one is extremely interesting. The man who thought up ISIS, the terrorist organization, ISIS. And then she replies with, okay, let's have some details. How would you like to end them? He replies with, I'd make it quick. I hate the idea of harming another human being, but it would save so many lives. Probably a quick injection of cyanide to his jugular or another fast-acting poison. From those few comments right there and her replies, it seems like not only does she want other people to think the same way she does, she wants them to go into very graphic detail and explain to her exactly what they would do. I would have a feeling that she would want, like, detailed notes on how someone would torture someone, and that was just one. We're gonna read at least, like, let's say 3 more. We're gonna read 3 more threads, and then you can make up your own mind about LadyIris. If you were to commit genocide, who or what would you eradicate on r/ask Reddit? The first reply on this is, what the fuck? And then other people are just like, same, because if you didn't know this, genocide infers racism. Everyone in that thread commented like, oh, just like this is bad, right? We should eradicate this. Or like, oh, like murderers. Yeah, fuck murderers. We should get rid of all the murderers. And she did not reply to a single one, because I can guarantee you that's not the answer she was looking for. She was looking for some of the most racist things that you could think of. Like, for example, if Hitler was on Reddit, he'd be like, the Jews. And then she'd be like, ooh, how? Like, bitch, you're fucking crazy. So from what I've been reading, I can tell that she just wants people to describe their most evil thoughts. Similar to Crossed, the comic book series, or the more popular one, which would be the Taiwanese movie from 2021 called The Sadness. I think it's 2020, 2021, around there. I have a feeling that she wants us to describe things the way that Crossed would do them, like in the most graphic way possible, because she tries to bait multiple different communities in saying the most fucked up and morbid shit. For example, this one is from r/ask Reddit. If I killed one of your loved ones, how would you like to see me punished? That is the most baited thing I have ever read in my life. So let's read the comments. By my own 2 hands, and it wouldn't be pretty. Preach it, my friend. I would rip out your spinal cord and wear it. I wouldn't kill you, but you'll wish I did instead. And then this one is like, this is the only one that I have found on her thread that seems like she's being genuine and explaining that this is not a fucking joke. I actually like this right here. Why are some people unable to accept the fact that some people like watching and making others suffer and aren't trolling when they admit it? And her last one, which is the one that I find most fascinating, because why the fuck would you ask this? Which location would you choose if you were going to commit a mass shooting? 26 different replies. And literally, these are all of the replies. ISIS headquarters. This is 8 years ago. This is when ISIS was a big fucking thing. Why the hell would you even ask something like this? You need help. You have to be a special kind of stupid to ask this question. This seems like an exceptional way to get a visit from government security agency. Consider taking it down. Based off of OP's submission history, he is pretty fucked up. The last comment on here is pretty messed up question, but I've always felt that sports arenas could be a prime target. Thanks for at least asking properly. That's what OP said back. Now, that was the last thing that LadyIris ever put up on the internet. And that is quite terrifying, because not only was the last thing that she said, where would you want to do a mass shooting if you could? And the last thing that she ever posted on Reddit is replying to somebody that said a sports arena. She said, what the fuck did she say? Like I said, this account was created 8 years ago, and all of those questions, plus many, many, many more, were asked in a span of a year, maybe even the span of a couple months. I don't know. LadyIris is more than likely in prison or dead now. And I can't seriously say that I'm like, oh, I hope she's doing okay. I really don't, because who the fuck asked those questions? Let's move on to the final Redditor that we're going to be talking about today. And I know a lot of you are going to be like, wow, that's kind of a rude thing to say. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking. So I just took a small break because the next user that we're going to be talking about is complicated. Like I said, I've known about these guys forever, and I've gone down this rabbit hole multiple times, but I never really understood it. And I figured I'd sit right there and I'd go through it once again. Maybe I'd understand it more this time. No. I still don't understand what the fuck I just read, but I'm going to try my best to interpret it into a way that you guys can hopefully understand. And also, I believe that this guy is quite infamous. Tuv has made a video on him. I believe Nexpo has also made a video on him. So it's not like he's unknown, but I'm going to give it my shot into trying and explaining who this guy is. So my life is falling apart. So the next Reddit user that we're going to be talking about today is u/worthless319. Not only are we going to be talking about u/worthless319, we are also going to take a subtle detour right now into what I believe caused him to get pushed over the edge and really do what he did, which is a subreddit that he was very active on. This subreddit is called, we're gonna go over here, r/awakened. Now, where the fuck did my cap go? So r/awakened is a subreddit where, from reading the description and how I interpret the description, is experience is the best teacher. That you can't really prove yourself unless you do things, right? And it doesn't say exactly what to do. And obviously that's not the point of r/awakened. It's just like, if you want to do something or you want to appease something higher than you, then you need to do things. You know, you can't just say these things, you need to do them. And you need to prove yourself to the higher power that you're talking about. In Worthless's case, awaken can also mean tons of different things, but in Worthless's case, if you couldn't tell by now, this video, or this part of the video, is going to get religious somewhat, because what Worthless did was in the name of God. Now, I don't know what religion Worthless is or was practicing at the time. From what I'm reading, I think it's a form of Catholicism or Christianity, but a very extreme, like, branch of it, like similar to the movie The Da Vinci Code. If you remember in that movie, if you've ever seen that movie, the guy that was chasing around Tom Hanks the entire movie, who was punishing himself the same way that God was punished. Like, he took a chain and fucking tore his skin open on his thigh and stuff like that, gave himself lashings. Like, that form of extremism in the form of Catholicism and Christianity. The reason I say these things is because people know Worthless because he mutilated himself in the name of God. Now, what I mean by mutilate himself, I mean cut off his own penis and his testicles, even to the point of consumption of his own penis and testicles. I shouldn't say that, because he didn't consume his left testicle. He shot it off with a revolver and his friend ate it. I am not making that up. So let's take this back to the beginning and from what I've been reading on Worthless 319. So from what I gathered, he really did feel worthless. He felt like he couldn't serve God properly. He felt like he failed his family. He felt like he failed his God. And he wanted to know how he could better serve God and be a better person in general. He even asked questions like, how did Jesus Christ maintain his love for humanity after being nailed to the cross? Things like that. And then things took a fucking just a left turn. I don't know how else to explain it because it was just quick. Now let's go over some of the post history of Worthless 319 because a lot of it's going to be in r/awakened. So I'm just going to read it straight from my phone again because like I said, these you really need, you can't paraphrase any of this or it's going to take away from the meaning of it completely. So let's just start from near the beginning and then just go straight forward from there. Oh my God. Now, when I say that he was active in r/awakened, more than 75 to 85% of his posts were in r/awakened, and they all had something to do with self-hate and growing as a person and stuff like that. So let me read you just a couple of them. I'm not going to go through the replies because I don't think they really matter right now, at least. But just to get you like into the mindset of Worthless 319. So he said things like how to proceed when you only seem to fail in r/awakened. What makes suffering a spiritual teacher in r/awakened. Fear of suffering, bringing an awareness into suffering in r/awakened. Why is darkness, pain, and suffering the way to light, love, and compassion? It's just like these things, like he's asking genuinely like, why do I have to suffer? Is suffering to get to the other side? Is that real? Like that's just all he's asking. And then things take a fucking turn like they always do. He starts off subtle-ish with on r/askreddit, he says, why or why not would alcohol be a decent anesthetic for performing self-surgery? Very off the wall question, if you ask me. Even if we didn't know what he did already, I would be like, don't. How about that? How about you don't do that? How about you go to a doctor? I don't know. If you inject local anesthetic, say lidocaine, subcut. Bro, what is up with all these Redditors using these big ass fucking words? I don't know, but we're going to sound it out like in third grade. Subcutaneously. What does subcutaneously mean?
According to UF Health, subcutaneous means beneath or under all the layers of the skin. For example, a subcutaneous cyst is under the skin.
So if you inject a local anesthetic, say lidocaine, under the skin, basically what he said, just say if you inject lidocaine, we can infer that it gets under the skin. There is no reason to include that other word. Zero. Anyway, let's keep going. What the fuck? Will the pain come back linearly or immediately after a certain time? Now, I would go into these Reddit replies, but since he's such a well-known Redditor, a lot of people came back to them and started commenting on his posts. Like these posts were 6 years ago, and they're replies from 2 years ago. Like people have come back to be like, at least you didn't shoot your nuts off with a revolver, am I right? Bro, he shot his nuts off with a revolver. Give him a break, dude. And then, remember how I was inferring about the post? This is the post in r/awakened, and it is titled, The Final Stand. I need to thank everyone for support, opinions, understanding, advice, conflicting ideas, compatible ideas, and everything in between. I believe I am on the path to my final metamorphosis from being done with my caterpillarness to becoming a full-blown butterfly. It's scary and I know it's going to hurt quite a bit. Such are the birth pangs of a renewed world. I wish everyone's positivity and thoughts in my final journey. I love you all. This was the turning point. Because just straight up, because after this is just straight like asking questions about if I cut off my dick, will I die? Like, how long or how painful would it be to cut off your dick? Now, I'm not just going to talk about it. I am going to read it to you. So let's read about it. Literally the next post on r/morbid questions. How much would it hurt to cut your penis off? And right here is where I can see that there is some sort of mental illness and I guess superiority complex. In a way, kind of, not like in a bad way, but like in an unhealthy way. I'm going to read this reply to this, and I want you guys to formulate your own opinions as well. So basically, what he asked in r/morbid questions, like I said, is how much would it hurt to cut your penis off? And someone says, damn, I was just about to ask for pics or it didn't happen, but Jesus Christ. You/worthless319, why did you cap your penis? Now, apparently there was a picture here. It's not there anymore. Reddit probably removed it because what the fuck? Worthless then replies, you flatter me because I am Jesus Christ. You'll see soon enough when the earth is renewed. Ever listen to Infected Mushroom? Because my mushroom was infected. If that doesn't scream mental illness, I don't know what does, because not only did he call himself Jesus Christ, he also said that the earth will be renewed. It is also very, like, I need to say this. He was completely convinced that North Korea and the United States were going to go to nuclear war with each other. This was 6 years ago. I believe this is when the missile alert from Hawaii went through, where like for 6 minutes people thought that North Korea had launched ballistic missiles. I believe this was at the same time, so maybe this sparked something in him. So he keeps talking about the earth being renewed, and I'm assuming that's what he's talking about, because he believes that the earth is going to go through a renewal process after we've all been wiped from the planet because of nuclear holocaust. So that's fun. Let's keep moving. After that, the same guy replies, that's what hospitals are for, bud, and you went there regardless. So OP replies, I was supposed to bleed out. I fucked up. I know. This should be an interesting weekend. Completely brushing off the fact that he cut his own fucking dick off. Like I said, this whole thing is so confusing to me because I don't know if he's joking or not. I mean, obviously he did cut his shit off, but like, I'm not sure if sometimes he said things like, I'm Jesus Christ and the earth will be renewed. I'm not sure if he's joking on that because he said this should be an interesting weekend, which is very clearly like, like I fucked up. I know. Yeah, this should be interesting. I don't know what to make of this guy. I really don't. So we're just going to continue moving on. He also has things in r/awaken called martyrdom and planning your own death. A spirituality, would you die for God? BDSM advice for banding penis stump. r/ask transgender, have you ever banded your own penis? I'm assuming he meant branded. Have you ever branded your own penis? If so, how long did it take to go numb? Maybe banded. No, it is banding. What is banded? I'm gonna look it up. I shouldn't look it up. Oh fuck. So it's basically fucking what? So what I'm reading is you put a bunch of rubber bands and you cut off circulation in your penis and it just dies, and then you can cut it off without pain. Or not without pain, but like, dude, that was just a fucking lot of information right there. I didn't know that existed, but now I do, and now you do too. You're welcome. That's why you're here. In r/awakened, he says, the destruction of Earth. I am preparing everyone on this planet to be obliterated by natural disasters and war, specifically nuclear with North Korea. The Earth is going through changes and the outcome doesn't look good, being induced by the higher powers. I don't even know why I'm covering Worthless 319. It makes literally no sense to me, but I just thought it was really interesting. And we're not even fucking done yet, so let's continue on, I guess. But I'm afraid I don't know. Holy fuck, I don't know. In r/DMT 6 years ago, he commented, committing suicide for God. And there is no description. It's very hard to go through his things because not like I can't read them. It's just because there's a lot of them that have been removed. I'm assuming a lot of these had pictures with them, but without pictures and no context, there like literally is no way to figure out what he's trying to say. Like in r/medical, he says penal amputation, and that is it. He doesn't respond. Oh, okay. No, he did. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm sorry. Somebody says, do you want to die? Or do you want a sex change? Why the genitals? Why not cut at your wrist or a major artery? I suggest calling a suicide hotline or going to your medical emergency department immediately. Please don't hurt yourself anymore. Your life has meaning. There is so much more living to be done. You never know what's around the corner. Somebody else replied to that saying, I'm getting that he's not suicidal. He wants to modify his body for whatever reason. And that is when Worthless steps in and says, I am suicidal and do want to die, but the only method I am allowed to perform is severing the rest of my penis as a sacrifice in a ritual. And then after that, people say, hey, like, call this number. They reference the suicide hotline and say that, and talk to somebody because we don't want you to do this. It's very clear, if you haven't figured it out by now, that Worthless 319 is either suffering from a drug-induced psychosis or schizophrenia. And that is the leading theory. And what happened to Worthless 319 is that he was going through a drug-induced psychosis, more than likely, because he was very active in R/DMT and R/ketamine as well. And if done in high dosage, I believe DMT can really fuck your shit up. That's just my thing. I don't know much about drugs, but yeah. So there's a lot of things that I want to talk about when it comes to Worthless 319. There's a lot of threads in his posts that I want to reference that I can't find anymore because, like I said, this is one of the most famous cases of the most disturbed person on Reddit. He's very highly regarded as the most disturbed person on Reddit. That's not true. That is not even a little bit true. But because under Worthless's subreddits or his Reddit threads, there's a lot of people that come by after the fact that he blew up, because from my understanding, he was very well known for what he did before he stopped posting on Reddit. So it looks like it was posted at the same time, but it's just hundreds of comments of people like asking if he's still there, like telling people like, no, he died, but like there's no proof that he died. So I want to just like tell you guys and paraphrase some of the different things that I read. For example, he said that he shot his right testicle off or his left testicle off with a revolver and then seasoned it, cooked it, and served it to his friend. His friend ate it. Also, that he cut off his penis and is eating it slowly, but he's having a hard time eating it because it is cannibalism and it is also self-cannibalism. I don't know much about cannibalism, but I'm pretty sure that eating somebody else is pretty fucking hard to do, and eating yourself is probably even harder to do. Hey, me again. I'm just here to pop in and let you guys know about our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legend. I'm just kidding. But I don't know where I got the whole his friend ate it thing. I know I read that somewhere. I just don't remember where. But on the screen right now, you can see that it says that he shot his cock off with a revolver and then ate it. And I know I said he seasoned it, but it clearly says right here that he didn't season it, literally just cooked it in olive oil and then ate it. I just wanted to put that out there because I'm remembering a lot of things wrong right here. So yeah, sorry about that. There's also something else, like one of his threads in r/awakened that I found pretty interesting. It's the fact that he told somebody that he is cutting off his penis for God because it is a ritual and he's eating it to like show his devotion to God. And the guy that he's talking to is like, oh, you have just woken me the fuck up. Like, I need to do something like that. That is insane. And he's like, yeah, man, like I'm just trying to be as devout as possible. And he's like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. And like, I think that what you're doing is amazing no matter what anybody else says. So I'm not trying to say anything about r/awakened, but I'm saying that there are some pretty like-minded fucking individuals on there that are either suffering from a drug-induced psychosis or schizophrenia, and they are undiagnosed and going untreated. Now, with that being said, and that interaction that I read between Worthless and someone else on r/awakened, I don't want to say that the entire tree is bad because of a few bad apples, but from reading things on this subreddit outside of what Worthless put, because I wanted to get a good grasp on what this was, it seems more like a cult than anything. Again, I could be wrong. This is just one man's opinion, and I'm a man on the internet. You shouldn't listen to me ever. But that's just what I've taken away, is that r/awakened is more culty than anything. So yeah. With that being said, those were 3, realistically 2.5, I didn't explain worthless for shit, of the most disturbed Reddit users on Reddit and in Reddit history. If you have any other users you would like me to look at or take a deep rabbit hole dive down, please leave it in the comments below. I'm very excited for that. I really did enjoy making this video and reading about all the other different Reddit users, and really getting a grasp on how they slip down the slope of insanity. I find that very fascinating, and getting to tell these people's stories is pretty awesome. So if you guys have anybody else that you guys want me to talk about, please let me know. With that being said, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. By the way, I don't think this was a good video, like, at all. That was just a fucking journey.